Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and we've got turn 38. It just rolled. I'm actually somewhat awake today. We'll see if the voice holds out, but I want to go ahead and jump into this. So we have a fair number of battles. Tianchi and Calum running very hot. We've still got Atlantis and Agartha. Agartha still taking time out of his day to fight man. And Marignon still picking up or picking at Agartha here, doing a little bit of vulturing. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And probably scaling a lot. So Marignon might be pretty scary here heading into the mid game. Alright, we've got a golem. We were promised golems last turn. This guy's got a full kit. The crystal coin, or it used to be called a crystal coin. It's a coin of meteoritic iron now. Allows him to magic phase. He's got a frostbrand charcoal shield. Charcoal shield famous for, I mean, I think it's a good shield. I'm not super up on like parry and protection, but I'm pretty sure this is a great shield. And then get some fire res, which is also nice, and you get that fire shield effect. I think most people build it for the fire shield effect, but it's, you know, a nice shield too. And then we've got the Frostbrand, famous for its Frozen Flames effect. We've got an ice helmet. We've got an armor of meteoritic iron. You build this mostly for the MR, but it's also got really good protection. Then we got Boots of the Messenger for a little bit more movement speed, and we have a Dancing Shield, which blocks 50% of incoming attacks. So this is a handy survival tool. He did not do Chains of Reconstruction for a little bit of regen, opting instead for this Dancing Shield, hoping that'll keep him alive in the raiding game. Facing off is a whole fucking army. Alright. So I think we saw some stuff just take off. We've got Earthbounds. If Calum loses this stack to a Golem, it's going to look real bad for Calum. Dispossessed Spirits do have 15 cold res. They might do okay. Never mind. No, there's a fire shield effect. They won't do okay. Crossbows might do okay if they're not HP routed by Draconians dying. And again, Fire Shield affects everyone making a swing now. Even if you miss your attack, you're still going to get hit by the Fire Shield. And we've also got 3 white mages. We've got air gems on 2 of them. We got fire gems on this guy. I mean, this is... Calum came ready to fight here. This is either Rigor Mortis. This should be Rigor Mortis. He's got the paths for Winds of Death pretty easily. Doesn't need the Skull Staff for it. But if he does Winds of Death, he'll kill most of his own army. So I'm hoping that's not it. We might have some resists or elementals. Water elementals are, I think, traditionally pretty good against golems because they come in with armor-piercing attacks. I'm not as sure about ice elementals from fighting in the cold. I just don't have that memorized. And then we've got a bunch of air gems, so I'm curious to see what they end up doing. You know, maybe some sort of storm and air elementals. Taking a look at the resists on this guy. He's got fire 25, cold 10, poison 25. Does not have shock resist. Shock resist is typically armor negating. As far as I know, it's always armor negating, but there's a lot of cases in this game. And that would punch right through his armor. So the air elementals would take damage from the fire shield, but they could potentially stun lock this guy into a tremendous amount of damage. And he does not have regen. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. So, some Birds Lane to interrupt the buff script. Still gets off Astral Shield. We got Arrow Fend. Winter Ward, Life After Death. Pretty nice. Fog Warriors. More Winter Ward. I think maybe a late Grip of Winter play might be coming in. More Fog Warriors. All these gems baited into a golem, so he really needs to kill this golem for it to be worth it. An interesting effect is when Draconians die, they turn into a Soulless Giant with a 23 damage claw attack, which can certainly be interesting when it comes to this. Okay, I think I avoided sneezing on the recording. Let's go ahead and get back to it. And we'll need the round counter, because Twilight could definitely come into play on this. Let's speed it up a little. It's down to 47 hit points. Alright, down to 28 hit points, so it's looking like he's gonna go down. He's done a lot of damage. Unless these Draconians HP route and it HP routes the army. Or these crossbowmen might run out of ammo. I'm surprised they're still shooting. Alright, we've run out of crossbow bolts. Down to 20 HP. Will he get the HP route? Looks like we might hit Kata. Or not Kata, Twilight. Whoops. I'm curious if it disables the item effects. I'd heard that it was bugged and then fixed. But we'll see here if he loses fire shield. Nope, okay, so it is working. Although Astral Shield wasn't doing much at this point. It is killing the undead faster, I think. I'm not sure if... I thought they weren't affected by the Astral Shield, but they do eventually kill the Golem. Alright. So, really took it to Calum here, but does end up going down. Let's see, for a fully kitted Golem, Calum traded out 25 crossbows, 71 spirits, 30 draconians, 1 sacred, 6 Raven Guard, and 20 Shade Bees. And a whole bunch of gems. I mean, this army got fully gem burned. Honestly, probably worth it for Calum. Let's say the Golem's 30. Takes a unique threatening piece off the board. He had 2 pearls for returning. So, we're looking at 30, 45, 50, although TNC gets crazy discounts. 55, 65, 70, 90, 100. So 132 gems worth of stuff from TNC. So it might have just been 1 unit, but it was a very expensive unit. So you do have high expectations for it. Could not quite get through all the Skelly spam. I think a big part of that was the white mages, because they're going to recover fatigue in the cold a little bit faster. I think some of these Harab Elders are old age too, so they get extra spell casting encumbrance. But yeah, alright. So Calum kills a Golem right off the bat. Marignon goes into Vulture with his little pack of mercenaries. Agartha's got a couple of Earth Mages, though. Routes the Hobbits. And not one of them gets away alive. I guess Fordo Bucket himself gets away. Alright. Then we've got Golem attacking some independents. Alright, we just have a variety of birds. Going after the Necromancer. I think he's going to be on hold, attack rear. He's hoping to land on the Necromancer. So it's probably going to be a fail. These guys should dissolve in HP route. Yeah. Alright, so Caleb loses a little stuff he probably couldn't afford to lose. Maybe the Golem would have been good for clearing that initially, but I understand when to... No, fuck. The Golem was on TNG's side. I'm drunk. Alright. So what could have Caleb done? I guess he would have just had to mobilize mages or more troops. Definitely would have needed more troops. But I understand wanting to go for the cheaper attack rear and just get the commander. Alright, TNG's got 2 thugs here. They all fit into 1 square because they are human-sized. So they're going to go through a little buff script that you can see up there. And they are going to slaughter these poor barbarians. Okay. So, solid win by TNG. A lot of work done by Astral Shield there. We've got the Earthbound. Kaka is here, the Pretender, with a whole bunch of MR gear. So MR has been boosted up to 24. Crown of Lead, Lodestone Amulet, and Amulet of Anti-Magic. I think that's to help him stay awake during his own Rigor Mortis plays. I don't think TNG gets a bunch of Astral to roll out like a Soul Slate Communion, or you might have to worry about that. Alright. So, does have a Harab Elder get killed? Alright, so I'm assuming it's a crossbow. I kind of want to see if it's twice spawned. Looks like it already happened. Not twice spawned. So another Harab Elder goes down. That was here. Okay. Then in the Silent Wetlands. Oh, we've got a commander. Pinging Man finds the boar alive and well with a bunch of air gems and some mages. 50 Kushi and 98 Wardens. Pretty serious little battle group. TNG rolling in on Calum. One of another little of his raiding buff groups, but we've got a bunch of Raven Guard and we've got Bakemono here. So Calum's going to give this squad a run for its money. I guess as a reminder, the TNG Bless is Hardskin Unaging. So they are pretty tough for normal units to kill. Alright, the HP route ensues. The mage is fatigued out but wakes up. Alright. So that is here. Loses 10 Sacreds, 3 Barb Heavy Horse. Deals about 3 to 1 like KD. but it's all against, I mean, some of it's Raven Guard and Storm Guard, which are decent troops, but some of it was also Bakemono and Draconians. Then in Sleepy Mountains, Calum going after the Independents, the villains in particular. Bakemono, probably not my choice, because they have shit morale. Alright. And then I think the little flying squad would have done better against that. Alright, we've got Agartha and Atlantis. Two lines, blind fighters. We've seen this little squad before. Looks like they're killing a small raiding party and some PD. Alright. They just shotgun it all down. That was here. Loses 1 crossbow. Kills 6 ice guard. Pretty good trade. Not sure if it's worth that whole army's time, but it's what the army chose to do. Alright, and then we've got another little buff group. This one's got a few more mages in it. Oh, that's a lot of Draconians. Okay. So we'll see if Calum can clean up another one of these raids. Or I guess counter raids. These mages are tough, though. 21 protection, 25 protection. This one's got armor. Neither of them have... Well, this one's got an Ancestor sword built in. But this guy does not have a weapon and probably wanted one. The thug goes down. The infantry are trying to get back to the commander. Sacreds are slaughtering Draconians. So everything comes down to this white mage. Let's see if I can get it just right. There we go. White mage is about to go down. One of the closest rescue ops I've ever seen little human infantry try to do. Alright, they're in the square now. How close? 8 HP. Okay. Maybe 1 really good hit or 2 hits away from dying. Alright, so TNG comes out on top for that one, does lose a thug. But, I mean, we'll definitely take the victory. He's rapidly burning through a lot of these Draconians that Calum summoned. So I think that was here. Yeah, Ancestor Smith dies, Master of the Way dies. 3 sacred... No sacreds die. 3 Barb Heavy Horse die. Kills a Harab Seraph, and 36 Draconians. And then in Redbud Grove, we got a scout. Doesn't really matter. In Dardius, TNG also pinging again. Built that habit fighting Patala. It's carried over into fighting Calum. Alright, we've got a rather large Calum stack here, a whole bunch of Raven Guard. Going after a little bit of PD, so this will be very short. Okay. I think that was here. Right. Bar. Here we go. 162 Raven Guard. Alright. And Agartha goes after Atlantis. Good grief, I can't talk today. Alright. Let's say we got a little raiding group. Right after 1 PD. I don't think we have to watch that. That is Iron Peaks. Then we've got Atlantis going after Agartha. Little group of unsleepings. Should kill this PD. And that Atlantis moves back onto Agartha, so that's unfortunate. And we have 3 TNG attacks. So first one is in Griffa. Another scout ping. Then in Felden Forest. Oh, this is very budget. We've got a few corpse constructs. We have a nature mage. And the purpose of this is he has 3 squads in the back to attract attack rear. And then I think this guy's job was to maybe do like swarm, but didn't end up needing him. Then in Ul Sashir, we've got a classic barb heavy cav raid. Some of them are in attack, some are shooting. We're going to go ahead and clean up this PD pretty quickly. Oh, and the Kaghan's here. Alright, so he's up to 4 experience stars, legendary cruelty, so Fear 5, has regen, has luck, has quickness, has some resist, has awe, has inspirational. Yeah, that's in here. So +5 morale to anyone he's commanding. Also has the summon allies ability, but clearly we're more focused on using the 3d6 Keshigs as a helpful raiding group. And then has a siege bonus of 50. Yeah, so just his own little private army there. And I think he had sailing too. Yeah, so he can also sail around. Alright, and that was here. Kills the PD. Then in Lake Seaweed, man going back after his lake with a little group of long dead. Killing the 1 PD. Alright, then TNG going after Kalem. This is a little bit heavier stack. We've got, I think, more mage support, and this is a bigger group of sacreds. Oh, this is, I think, that army. Yeah, this is what's left of the army after the Golem raid. So we've got the Ancestor vessels flanking. We've got a little attack rear bait squad. Divine Blessing, some body ethereal spam, Legions of Steel. I'm not going to focus on these raptors too much. I mean, there are a fair number of birds here, because it looks like some reinforcements came in to support this army after the Golem magic phased on it. I mean, I guess we'll have to focus on both. Alright, so relief goes up. We'll see where they land. Alright. What? Alright, so they jumped on the bait squad. And this group is going all the way around. We'll wait until this group goes on this group of mages. Actually, we might just watch the front and the back. Alright. Ooh, big shockwave. Pretty strong crossbows, too. It's looking like the Kalem white mages in their little square are gonna hold. Alright, so they've routed. I guess we've still got what's left of this little group. So this looks like a Golem victory on the southern front, which is a really big deal because Tianqi had a lot of momentum coming out of that victory. And so now we have another reversal against Tianqi. What we have guaranteed is that this will be a very bloody war for both of them, which I think means only good news for Marignan. Alright. So in this battle, the Tianqi force is completely destroyed. 2 crossbows and 3 celestial hounds get away. What does it cost Golem? Well, some PD again, so a pretty decent little bit of a PD dump there. Looks like maybe 30-something PD, because we've gotten the second commander, which comes in at 20, and we're all the way up to 11 birds, so maybe 31 PD. Also, only lost 8 Raven Guard, 5 crossbows, 1 Harab Seraph, and 1 Iron Crafter. So yeah, definitely a pretty good trade. Wipes out this Tianqi army. And we've got Marignan storming the Steel Ovens. There are a few Agartha mages trapped in here. But the virtue is here. So I don't think we need to go too slowly on this. Mages are cleaned up. Some body ethereal heavy cav to help clear the walls. And we're all good. Loses a missionary, a few swordsmen again. He's done a great job leveraging indie troops and the lower end of his lineup to eat a lot of evocations. So losing 13 swordsmen, that's nothing. They're really cheap as opposed to 2 Royal Guard. You know, each Royal Guard is kind of like 2 swordsmen, but they're also a little bit higher quality. So you'd rather lose the swordsman. Loses a longbowman, loses 3 heavy cav. That's fine. He probably hired them just for this job. And gets the fort. Okay, so checking out the underground. This is now Marignan's cave. He now has the steel ovens. He's probably pretty excited about it. And yeah. All right. So we come out here. Now that golem was indeed a lot cheaper because Tianqi gets native forage bonuses. I think they have the Throne of the Artificer where they could have forged a lot of that gear. So they've also got a percentage discount, and then they've also probably got hammers. That said, that golem loss was pretty expensive, and losing that army was pretty expensive. Where was that? All right, so that was all here. So Golem really came out in force to protect his conjuration discount site. He was willing to sacrifice this, like we thought he might be last turn. And unless Tianqi had some inkling or he had scryed it because he kept seeing a lot of draconians there, Tianqi might not have expected that kind of defense for this random province. But it makes complete sense for Golem. But I do think Tianqi suspected something because he did Golem Drop this province, probably hoping to catch a bunch of draconian summons. And then he did walk his army into it. So rather than this army pushing towards the capital, it pushed over here. And I suspect Tianqi knows about the discount site. And they were both kind of going all in on it a little bit for this part of the front. So a huge victory for Golem. And okay, so he had 30 PD, so I did miscount. But we were pretty close. So then Tianqi's got, I think, 5 or so raiding groups. He's definitely been pumping them out a lot faster now. So he's really turned on the troop recruitment. I don't know that Calem... I think Calem will be able to exploit this one a little bit, but it could be tough. I mean, there's still a lot of TNG stuff in this area. They've really hired a lot. And there's still some TNG pressure coming up from the left side of the lake, too, where I was expecting Calem to make a lot more rapid progress. But then, I guess, on the southern front, Calem moved into TNG's cap circle. So we did see Calem pull off of Felden Forest. And it looks like what I wonder is if he's planning to come up here to fork these 2 forts. I guess 3 forts. And then what he can do from there is he can decide which one looks easiest to take, and he can go try to take that one. And then he's got a big group here, but this is mostly flyers. There's a few ichthyds here, but a lot of these flyers, they could do something like fly past TNG and try to crack Coast Haven. And then this army could move to support in Ultima Tifa. Or Tifia. And yeah, I mean, it is really interesting. So we've got TNG with a large army in Felden Forest. He definitely came... well, he only kind of pinged out, but there's a lot of stuff inside this fort. It's got the White Tiger of the West out here. So the Pretender's over here. But Calem's decided to just kind of run past him and try to get into the interior for TNG. Calem's got a lot more mobility than TNG. So in some ways, I think he's trying to spread TNG thin and then try to isolate and kill a lot of raiding groups. The advantage for TNG, though, is he's got a tremendous amount of recruitment as well. So he might actually pull off defending enough different provinces every turn to isolate and kill Calem raiding groups as well. Especially what we kind of saw here, where he killed off this group. I guess that was patrolling out a scout. Took that. Pinged this. They had the big battle over here. But, I mean, the TNG raiding groups, I think, have been punching pretty well. They've got the right mix of mages, thugs, and troops to be pretty effective. I think a lot of them have generally cost around 1,000 gold, but I think we'll start seeing some more variability soon. At least the one turn where we analyzed them, I think they were coming out around 1,000 gold. Calem has been starting to cater to that, so 162 Raven Guard is a pretty overwhelming number of Raven Guard. You got some Draconians mixed in because they've got Venomous Bites. And they've also got Talons, which are pretty cool. I thought they used to get 2 attacks each. Maybe they lost one of their Talon attacks. Maybe they were too good and they got nerfed. I forget. But Calem now has 2 armies. TNG's got enough raiding groups to coalesce to create an army, and an army in Felden Forest. So this war is very much far from over, at least so far. Calem's pulled out 2 big victories. TNG's pulled out 1 big victory. But TNG also had a little bit more peacetime heading into this war, and he's had a second cap for longer. Had the Throne of the Artificer for longer. So I think TNG's got a little bit more saved up power potency that he's been able to try and leverage. But we'll have to see what this army does. Does it give chase? Does it stay in Felden Forest? Does it try to push into the Pyrene region? I suspect if it tries to give chase or if it leaves, if it goes too far away, I do wonder if Calem's going to circle back around and try to one turn pop this for it. So you can take this throne. But we'll have to see what Tianchi does. It's very tricky to play defense against birds, and Calem's been using a lot of his earthbounds, which is pretty cool. But a tremendous number of birds as well. And while Tianchi's got really good map move and a lot of planes, so he is able to move around his lands pretty effectively, I think it's still difficult to try and keep up with birds. All right, let's go look at Atlantis and Agartha. So Atlantis stopping recruitment and Agartha again. The army is staying in Bountiful Land. I think Atlantis he's building up an army here. Agartha's got vision on it though, but he's building it up here because it's safe. And unless Agartha pulls out a bunch of white mages and tries to like trap it or something, I think Rigor Mortis can be cast on underwater. Am I allowed to see Rigor Mortis here? Yeah. So unless a bunch of white mages magically showed up here and then did Rigor Mortis underwater and trapped this army. But I mean, this group's staying well clear of Agartha. Or of the Agarthan army. I think these two armies are heading for a potential showdown, but I don't know that Agartha will want to fight the Boar and the Magister's Arcane with just basic troops. And I'm not seeing... I know he's got more Necromancers, but maybe he's not got the Death Gems or something. What I wonder, though, is we've got the Dracolich here. I don't think the Dracolich can make it all the way to Silent Wetlands. But if it can, I wonder if it shows up to do that Rigor Mortis trap. I think if he had maintained control over Agartha, he would have the movement speed. So I wonder if this army's going to stay and patrol for a turn, or if it's just going to move up here and make both these armies think he might attack them. Because the Dracolich should make it to Deep Forest, so he could set that up. But yeah, I think not adequately patrolling the cap might have been a mistake this turn, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'm just bullshitting and he can make it. But I do think Agartha is doing a trap with this army, and I think the Dracolich is part of it. So we'll have to see what happens. I would be a little bit scared of the potential of getting gifts from heaven. But if the Boar is here, maybe that's not the goal for this army, is to spam that. Man's got a little bit of a trap of his own. He's got another 120 troops on the way. And he's doing very light raiding. He's not... I do wonder if maybe he's pieced out Tianchi and he's just content to fight Agartha because Agartha was vulturing him. I think that's certainly an option, and then he can always try to attack Tianchi later. The other option, I think that might be slightly more likely, but maybe not, is maybe they're just in a little bit of a Cold War state. Tianchi's not willing to poke at Man because he doesn't want to get attacked more while he's fighting Caleb. And Man doesn't want to poke Tianchi because, yeah, I think this is close to original borders. So Man doesn't want to poke Tianchi because he's trying to take this fort from Agartha. So we'll have to see what happens there. He might also be researching a counter to the cat. Maybe Soul Slayer or something. And Marignon. Marignon scaling. Now has the C11s. It'll take a few turns to get that rolling, get mages down in there to start foraging. But I think Marignon's going to be pretty happy about that. It looks like he's blood hunting Sitis. And I think part of that might be because Sitis is pop killing itself anyways, because it's a wasteland. So even though there's some temperature resistance from that mod that we've got, it's still at negative 0.2%, so you might as well pop kill it a bit or patrol it. Although he might be losing out on 200 or 300 income. It doesn't seem like he's really hurting for income. He's got gigantic armies everywhere, including on the Steel Evans. But still wow, it's a lot of blood hunting, a lot of corpses. Still no indication yet about what all these blood slaves are going to be potentially going for, though. So I wonder if he's using this mostly peaceful period to rush as deep down blood as he can to get to maybe like a blood 9 that he can really spam to try and win the game with. Yeah, I don't see anything here. I think it's pretty dangerous for this lobby to let pretty much the only blood power have this much extended piece with 2 caps to just scale. But I think that this war between Agartha and Atlantis is somewhat personal now, at least based on the game chat. And Golem TNG. I already forgot the Costas Belly for that because I think it's been a week or at least a few days. They were about to fight each other, and I think TNG was moving in to swoop on Man. And Calum didn't like that, so they offered to piece each other out and go fight TNG, which I think makes sense for Calum. It's a harder war, but he doesn't really have to worry about Man right now, and Man might be a really good ally going forward for quite some time since he'll be smaller. Even if there is some resentment over the Pyrene swooping or vulturing that Calum did at Man's expense. But, I mean, this war can be potentially really profitable for Calum. If Calum gets to a 3 cap status, they can definitely challenge Marignon. Although their border is, I mean, they've got 2 borders, but they're both kind of narrow. But Marignon's got giant garrisons on either. So I think that's helping dissuade. He's leaving this throne, which makes it more difficult for Atlantis to attack him. And then he's got the more open border with Man, but Man's really small, and he might want to vulture Man or invade Man because, you know, Man's only a 1 cap at this point. So Calum's a 2 cap, Marignon's a 2 cap, TNG's a 2 cap. Atlantis and Agartha. I mean, Atlantis is pretty gigantic for only being a 1 cap. Almost all of that, I mean, Agartha was huge, so a lot of that's come at Agartha's expense. But this war doesn't seem quite close to ending after that big Agarthan victory. So Marignon's going to get some more time. And I think if you're Marignon, it makes sense to trade whatever maybe Agartha needs in terms of a trade for them to win out. You might have a favorite between TNG and Calum, but I think you want their war to just last as long as possible. So maybe you help whoever you think is losing at the time. But right now it seems pretty even, so I think you just let it run. And then, yeah, maybe just keep vulturing, picking up little pieces here and there, and maybe go after man is my thought. Although attacking man might draw some attention, but as long as everyone else is at war, it's going to be hard for them to rally anything significant against you. So we'll just have to see. Although what it might do is, even if you take man, and if at some point soon afterwards, maybe let's just say hypothetically Atlantis won and then Calum won, they'll probably move to coalition, the 3-cap blood power, rather than deal with whatever they're going to deal with. Because Calum can always try to save a bunch of water gems and maybe Sea of Ice Atlantis and then attack Atlantis. They're both cold. It would be an interesting matchup. And I think Calum isn't, because one of the things that Atlantis traditionally relies on is Stygian Rains. I mean, they've got a bunch of other bags in their trick with Water Death, but Stygian Rains is a pretty standard one. But Calum wouldn't care about Stygian Rains because they also have a bunch of magic weapons. They just have to lean harder on their Storm Guard rather than their Raven Guard. So they've got or Ice Clads, I mean, whatever you want to make. They both got magic attacks. So you could rely on them. They'd probably need some help punching through Atlantean armor. Or you could just use them as a front line, because Iceclad are also really tanky. And then you could rely on mages and magic to try and win the day. So I think it'd be an interesting matchup. But we'll have to see what Marignon does. I think it's pretty safe for them to just try and scale right now. Maybe get a Blood 9. And then from there they can stack up their preferred demon. They can also do Dark Vines now with their Nature Blood access. So they do get... let's see. Let's take a look. What? Am I allowed to see these? Okay. So you need a 2 in whatever path, and then you need to be Blood 5. So then for Marignon, so they've got native access to Devils with some blood boosters. They can potentially do some Send Horror stuff, depending on, probably Send Lesser Horror. Maybe some Demon Knights, because the Earth guy with Earth Boots and some blood boosters. So they also have the option for Demon Knights. And Demon Knights are pretty strong. They'll route stuff very quickly. They can also go for, is it Shadow Fiends? Who are stealthy, have 2 magic attacks. And maybe Marignon will need a lot of magic attacks going into a future war. So that could be another potential option. Alchemists. Not blood mages. Got Glamour, not a blood mage, but he can empower if he wants to get access to certain things. But yeah, probably Demon Knights or Devils are the easiest option for a 9. So yeah, we'll have to see what he's doing, but I do wonder if that's what he's doing is a greedy Blood 9 run. Alternatively, he could just be picking up a lot of 6s and 7s and different battle magics to support his troops. And he could lean really heavily on alchemists. But with the amount of blood hunting he's doing, I have a feeling he's being a little bit greedier than that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he chooses. So I think with that, I'll call it for this one. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.